Greetings, Earthlings, and welcome to your weekly dose of newsy infotainment. It's Let's Be Treasonable, coming to you from the luxurious studios of Radio Titans in Los Angeles, with your cognitive dissidents on the panel this week from the web series Knocking on Doors. Always a pleasure to have her in the studio, comedian Jessica Abrams.
Thank you so much. It's so good to be here.
Thanks for coming in. Also joining us, comedian, world traveler, economist, Kat Alvarado.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, Kat. And you both were just at the San Luis Obispo Comedy Festival.
Yes, we were.
Recently.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
welcome back.
Thank you.
And of course, as always, we are joined by comedian, scholar, and the black voice of reason, Mr. Timon Ship.
Power to the people. Good to be here with these wonderful people.
Always great to have you here. I am Dr. David Robinson, your Vin Scully for the impending apocalypse, and oh, how much closer we are getting this week. We will be talking about the apocalypse, how it will be delivered, and whether the children will lead us all, or if they're all going to be shot in school by then. But first, we are also joined by our invisible panelists, by the magic of pre-recorded sound and telephony. It is five-time Emmy nominee Will Durst with this week's Burst of Durst.
Hey guys, Will Durst here with a few choice words about Easter, the most peculiar of the religious holidays. For instance, it's the only pink and lavender one. Also, no other holiday shares an obsession with hard-boiled eggs and chocolate bunnies and jelly beans and plastic grass. It traditionally falls on the Sunday after the first full moon following the vernal equinox. But it goes back to pagan celebrations, paying homage to a lady named Esther, who danced to honor the beginning of the season of fertility and hung out with bunnies, which also sort of explains the egg connection. Not really, kind of. But for many of us, this spring festival is all about the resurrection, when Christ comes out of the cave, sees his shadow, and baseball season starts. Forget about your robins and your cherry blossoms and those spongy yellow marshmallow peeps that taste like how pussy willows look. It's the first crack of the bat in a regular season game that's the true harbinger that spring has sprung. Winter doesn't really expire until a clean white sphere with red stitches is thrown 60 feet and 6 inches in anger. Because when they say, wait till next year, this is what they're talking about. And every team is born anew with the theoretical chance to win it all. To beat the 29 other teams. To hoist a trophy and spray champagne into each other's eyes in a thoughtless waste of perfectly good sparkling wine. Everybody has a chance, except the San Francisco Giants, who are on pace to be mathematically eliminated by the summer solstice. But until then, let us feast on hot dogs and drink incredibly expensive beer and raise our expectations to the rafters, along with our voices singing the hymn, Take Me Out to the Ball Game. Because this is that magical time when hope springs eternal. Play ball! For Let's Be Treasonable, I'm Will Durst.
Thank you very much, Will. Obviously, Will is up in the Bay Area and a big Giants fan. So as a long-suffering Cubs fan, my heart goes out. One thing I do want to bring up from Will's tirade there regarding Easter. Easter is coming up next Sunday. Passover starts next Friday night. And for the eternity in which I've been alive and the multitude of years that passed before that, we've seen religion become more and more commodified. And I think, just a side note to the candy makers of America and the world beyond, how about some kosher for Passover Easter candy? I think the time has come. I want my Nestle Crunch bars. Without offending my image of a supreme being. So just candy makers, get on that, all right? Can we do that? We'll talk more about the holidays next week when one is in full thrall and the other we are on the eve. But the big happening today here in Los Angeles and all around the country We have different variations or different chapters, if you want to call them, of the March on Our Lives, or as I like to think of it, the Stop Shooting Children March. Amazingly, there are people who are opposed to this.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of kids, but I know shooting them in general is wrong, and to do it in schools where they are ostensibly supposed to be safe and learning stuff, not the place to shoot kids. I understand, the logic. You rob banks because that's where the money is. So I get the logic, but still doesn't make it right. One thing I want to launch the conversation with today is a superintendent in Pennsylvania who has come up with the brilliant, take it with whatever amount of sarcasm you would like, the brilliant suggestion to arm the students with a bucket of rocks. And I want to read this full quote from one of the news stories because I thought it was kind of brilliant. Every classroom has been equipped with a 5-gallon bucket of Riverstone, Helsel explained about it, the Blue Mountain School District in Schuylkill County, northeast of Harrisburg, in a video broadcast by ABC affiliate 16 WNEP. If an armed intruder attempts to gain entrance into any of our classrooms, they will face a classroom full of students armed with rocks, and they will be stoned.
I think it's genius.
I kind of...
I like it.
And I do need to add, as a longtime advocate of marijuana rights, if they're stoned, they're probably not going to be shooting up the classroom.
Actually, I went to school with a guy about it. We called him Rock Throwing Fred. Fred used to carry rocks in his lunchbox, actually, along with an apple and a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And he had rocks.
I like it.
And he was an assassin. He was very good. Kid was stealing his bike, and I yelled out, "Fred, he's stealing your bike!" And he would be very calm, and he would open up his lunchbox, and I probably should hit him with this one right here. I had this one the other day. It skips really well over the water. I should probably say. And he took the rock, and he saw the kid, and the kid's running, and it was just like Clint Eastwood. Just like Clint. Hit him right in the back of the head. He just moved up, and then pow, right in the back. Kid dropped off, and when he got back up, "What happened?" And then boom, hit him with it again. And I was like, oh my God.
See, that requires skill.
He did. He had very good skill.
There should have been, Will was talking about baseball. There should have been pitching scouts out there for rock throwing Fred.
Yeah, rock throwing Fred was very good. When we had fights against other kids in neighborhoods, we would put Fred in a tree, and Fred would take them out. Where are these rocks coming from? And
they all should do this with
precision. I mean, he would hit you in the head. I told my friend Terry slapped him in the back of the head because we used to get those ball cuts. And he slapped him, and I said, "Don't run." And he ran. He thought he could get to his house. Just as he put his hand on the door, knocked him out. Quick. Very good.
Here's the thing about a bucket of rocks in the classroom. That's assuming that all of the kids are good at throwing rocks. First of all, I was terrible at anything that involved hand-eye coordination when I was in school. So with my luck, here's what would happen if I was one of those kids. The shooter would come into the room. He'd start shooting at the other end of the classroom. I'd be okay because I'd be on the opposite side with my rock, and it would be up to me to save the class, and I would miss. And we would all die. That's what would probably happen.
I say this having been one of the poor performers in gym class.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't have been able to throw a rock.
There is the possibility that once he mows down everybody else and sees your futile efforts at hitting him with a rock, he's going to be laughing so hard he can't shoot anybody. Because I know my athletic ability, if you want to call it that, was definitely the cause of great laughter in several classes.
Well, there you go. That could help. That solves it.
And I think it brings up another interesting issue because I was thinking about this. I told a story actually on, I think, the last 2 episodes of the show, so I'm not going to bore people with it again. Short version, kid was sleeping in algebra class. Teacher was pissed off, threw a piece of chalk at him, hit the kid next to him. And the kid next to him was not someone you wanted to throw things at. He jumped out of his chair. I thought he was going to beat the crap out of the teacher, and the teacher was just like, "I'm sorry, Tony, I was trying to hit Zorba." The point of the story when I was telling it then was that, teachers deal with chalk every day, and if they can't hit the right kid, we shouldn't give them guns. But one of the things that I've been thinking about, because, where those guys were alphabetically, it's like, well, we weren't, if one of them was next to the other, we weren't sitting alphabetically, and their names ended with Z, so why would I be to the left? But what I'm thinking and where I'm going with this is, if we have the bucket of rocks in each classroom, will the seating chart now be based on who is, going to be the best at throwing, and put them on, presuming the classroom doors at the front left of the classroom? Is your star pitcher going to be, at that first desk when you walk into class, and then you just, gradually have layers of
worse and worse you have to have your start pitcher, towards the back. They have to be in a guarded position,
so
because you
can't
just have them in the front. In the front, you got to have the people who are duds athletically, and they're the first line of defense.
So figure just a loose barrage is going to be confusing enough to.
A loose barrage, you have your best throwers like in the back of the classroom near the rocks, where they're less likely to get attacked immediately, right? If we're going to really be strategic about it. Frankly, I think this whole discussion is very disturbing. So there you go.
You know what? And another thing that's been on my mind recently, and, not to play the age card, but Kat, you're like relatively young, and, compared to Simon and myself, and Jess, you're, somewhere in that mid-range. But I remember when I was a kid, we didn't really have nuclear drills anymore, but we were aware of them. It was like in the recent past, because someone always brought it up whenever we would have tornado drills, because I was in the Midwest, we had to have those. Why aren't we doing anything to keep the tornadoes out of school? Next episode. But when I hear people on the news in this past week leading up to the march today talking about how disturbing it is that the kids are having readiness drills for active shooter situations. Yeah, it is disturbing, but having grown up with the omen of nuclear drills, and it looks like we're going in that direction again, too. So, I figure better the kids should be prepared.
Okay, I have some thoughts on this.
Yeah, please.
So first of all, we've been doing lockdown drills, at least in Los Angeles, for easily, let's see, like 20 years, 15, 20 years. Because I remember being in middle school and elementary school, and they would be, the lockdown drill, it's a bell. At least here, it was one long bell, and it means get in your classroom and get to the far side of the classroom and just wait until the bell stops. So that's what it means if there's an active shooter. I think they started it, at least in the LAUSD, if I am correct, around the time of that one shooting, and I think it involved the Jewish Center.
The JCC, yeah.
The JCC, that one. It was after that they started doing the lockdown. So, I'm not surprised it's becoming commonplace, and I'm glad that they're doing it. But about people being like, I'm so disturbed that this is something we have to do now. It's like, okay, we've been doing earthquake drills. We've been doing tornado drills, nuclear drills. You are a pussy. The world has bad things, and we need to be prepared.
That's right.
I can't stand people who want to live in this little bubble where, nothing bad ever happens. No, bad shit happens. We are so fortunate in the U.S. that it happens less than other places, but it does happen. Right. So you don't get to protect your kids from.
No, it's like the people who believe in abstinence.
Yeah,
it's the same thing. It's
I've
the same,
never,
basically.
Yeah, that's good. I don't. That I couldn't happen.
Yeah.
No,
not going to happen. Right?
No,
not going to happen.
No.
Then this shit is going to. You're right. It's just.
But
toughen the fuck up as a parent. Just toughen up.
Yeah, that's right.
We have
that's
created every psychopathic type of situation here because of the way we live our lives.